Can you do the roll call?
I would be happy to. Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Gamble is not present. Mr. Nichols?
Here?
Ms. Smith?
Here.
And Ms. Dickerson?
Here.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is citizens' comments. Is anybody here to make general comments? Hi.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Good.
Board members, good afternoon. For those that don't know me, and I think everybody does, excuse me. We'll have to kill that. Sorry about that. So again, my name is Donald Crenshaw. I am a builder, developer in the city of Erie. And I have some concerns that I'd like to voice to the land bank. I've spoken to some of you in different hats, that some of you wear multiple hats in different organizations or different committees. And as a builder and a developer of 35 plus years of taking housing and affordable housing and renovating it, running the renovation through a training program. We have a accredited pre-apprenticeship program that we are in the process of teaching young men and women skill levels that they can enter into the local trades, preferably union trades, so that they can make a good affordable wage, support their families and what have you. And we've done this in the past. We're now in a position to renovate and build about 26 homes that was funded not too long ago. The funding was finalized, and some of you helped to make that happen, and we thank you for that. That project was actually funded 3 years, 2 months, and 2 weeks prior to getting it closed. But we did close. It'll be 26 affordable housing units that low to moderate income people can live in. With that being said, I look at some of the challenges that we have in our community of creating affordable housing. And part of creating this affordable housing, I understand there's rules, there's regulations, there's things that have to happen, have to take place. But I come to the land bank with a few questions, just asking. One question that I ask is, why are we taking or blighting properties that is owned by the city of Erie residents? If I live in the city and I own a piece of property, I may have challenges of paying back taxes, but there's something in place that deals with that from the taxing body. You get behind in your taxes so far, the taxing body takes it. If I have delinquent water bills, utilities, they can be cut off, and I can own 4 walls with no utilities. But when I look at the priority of challenges we have in our community and how economically we're addressing some of those, homelessness and home ownership are at the top of the list. How do we eliminate home ownership? Or correction, eliminate people that are homeless. How do we make more affordable housing available for homeowners? You are aware that even the land bank, through affiliations of other entities as the Redevelopment Authority, have taken houses that some may have thought should be condemned, blighted, or taken, and they've been renovated. And with that renovation, somebody has been able to take over ownership and have a place to live. I've done in the last year about 12 houses that we've renovated, last 2 years. We renovated and they're on the market or they've been sold to low to moderate income people. we've been able to raise funding to do this type of renovation, and we've chosen to only sell houses to low to moderate income people because there's such a demand. At one time, I lived in housing that was for low to moderate income people, and we had to build ourselves up to the point where we could afford something and a home over our head, and we did so. So when I look at these individuals coming out of public housing at one time myself, there's a passion. There's a passion to training people, putting them at a skill level so that they can truly live in a decent, affordable house and have a decent income to make their lifestyle a place that they can be proud of and something that they can do. So I come to the land bank today. I've been in front of, as I stated, Redevelopment Authority and Mr. Snipper several other times, blighted property, but not all of you may have realized the opportunities that we have in our city. And that is to take blighted properties, take houses that people may be saying they're condemned, and turn them into something that's an asset, which you're familiar with what's been done. So I just come today to say if it's any way possible for us to work together, I'm here to say today that I will work with this department and any and every other department that's within the city limits, the city of Erie, that can be used to make something better for people. So I thank you for your time. There's a major need for affordable housing, home ownership and training, and as that builder and developer who have just closed on a project, I extend out to all those that are looking to be trained to reach out to me, those that are looking for jobs to teach and train to reach out to me. But I'm here to say to you, my goal is to make a better community and make a difference within our community. And I thank you for your time.
Mr. Crenshaw, we don't normally question people that come up for comments, but I think this relates directly to that property you own on East Avenue, which has been placed on the blight list or has been a concern. You say you have financing to renovate 26 properties. Does it include that property, the one that we are concerned with on East Avenue?
Yeah, well, that property that you're talking about on East Avenue is definitely one of the properties that I plan on dealing with. I will say this, all of the code issues, all of the things that have been brought before me, I've dealt with. I saw for the first time at the Blighted Committee that property came up, I watched. I will ask that any property that's affiliated with my name, and most everybody here knows the different properties that I own, you can look up, instead of having them come before a blight committee and I watch it on the screen, give me a call. I can share with you what funding we've received, what our game plans were, and how we can move forward. That property is on a list to be addressed, and in the next 30 days you'll see things happening there that no one reached out to me and said, Dawn, we know you're building 26 houses. We know you're one of the largest builder developers in our community. We know you're doing things. What can we do about that property? What was done in the past, it was cited for code violations. We dealt with those code violations, and they were dealt with. Now, because it took, again, 3 years, 2 months and a week to close on funding that we had prior, 3 years ago, but it was a challenge. So we may have received funding to do a lot of things in this community, but if I can't get the cooperation and the communication, then we have things like this, a property comes up, you don't know what I'm doing with it because we haven't been asked, but I can share with you and I can show you better than I can tell you. But all of our properties that I'm affiliated with are being addressed and either being fixed up, renovated, to be made new, or dealt with. So that particular property, I do have a plan for that, and I'll be sharing that very near future here. But again, no one reached out to me to say exactly what we were going to do with that property.
Mr. Snippert, have you talked to Mr. Crenshaw lately about this, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, our major conversation started in 2013 when the property was blighted and we convened a meeting in the mayor's conference room. Actually, it was room 500, and addressed this property and his other blighted properties.
Was it vacant in 2013?
Yes.
So it's been vacant for 13 years?
It was vacant in 2023 when we blighted it. It was purchased in 2009, and I believe the water's been off since 2011.
So let me address that real quick. It was not vacant at the initial blight sightings and different code violations. There has been people in it. But I'm going to say this, and this is part of my challenge, that time period when it takes governmental facilities to approve something, 3 years, 2 months, funds have been sitting there. But when something, it takes time to get things finalized so that it can actually be addressed. I can't control how long it takes us sometimes to do things, but when funds are sitting there, and that particular property, as well as other property, have been talked about, and when I mentioned to Aaron about communication, and I think, and I can't say this for certain because I can't read his mind, but a few weeks ago, there's another piece of property that I won't go into that was addressed as blight and then taken. I had a conversation with him as, let's go forward. I've been funded, let's work together. The comment was, you have other properties that are on a blight list. There's a lot of properties that are on a blight list, but the question should be, what are you gonna do about them? That was, he just stated, it was never talked about. If at that time we would have communicated what we're gonna do, it should have never came to the blight list. And I could have shared with them what we're gonna do and move forward. As one of the largest builder developers, but it's this kind of dialogue that makes it so tough for me to be successful in this community.
But Mr. Crenshaw, that property has sat basically for 15 years, and now you say something will be accomplished in the next 30 days. What will be accomplished?
What will actually be accomplished in the next 30 days, and it's not that I wanted to do it, but I understand the blight. This year's a check that's made out to the city of Erie for the demolition of that building. If somebody would have called me and said, what are you going to do with it? We've requested the building demolition permit. It's been made out, and this is made out to the city of Erie to demolish that building, not because we want to, but because of the challenges that we have within the community, and because of the, I feel, pointing out of all my buildings, we're just going to tear it down. Now, there's other developers that have bought property that was on the blight list that they turned around and demolished it. 14th and Parade, that building received funding to renovate it. They checked out the structure. They ended up tearing it down, that particular developer. We get that. But all of the blighted properties that we own or are affiliated with, if they're in the state of demo, we'll demo. Okay. We're a demo contractor. But if they can be fixed up and somebody can live in it, it's much cheaper to create housing when you have a $10,000 footer. You have walls of an average 1,400 square foot house, $42,000 of lumber just to replace it. You have a sewer line. You have a water line. You have so much there in any house where the foundation isn't collapsing, or the developer says it's just not worth fixing up all of the walls. Your average house has a $50,000 value when it's sitting there that could be demolished. But we took a house that sat for 17 years on 33rd Street. I bought it. It sat there. We boarded it up. Just because somebody owns a house and they don't turn the utilities on, they don't have any lights on, but the roof is good, and I've heard you, you get it. If you got a good roof and the walls are standing up, houses are hundreds of years old. But if you don't have the funding to put new roofs on, to fix up houses so that it's tight, that it's not dilapidating, then yeah, it falls down. So every piece of property that the city has right now with a good roof, or maybe a $10,000 roof and the foundation's good, the wall's good, instead of us tearing it down, why don't we make that somewhere with somebody that maybe can't afford a $100,000 home, that can afford a house that can be fixed up and made into home ownership? And I'm here today to say that. And again, that house We will be getting a demo permit. And if there's other houses in this community that the land bank has, I will partner with the land bank and anybody else to help fix up those houses so that our people can have a place to live.
Now, we know how important it is not to tear houses down if we can avoid it, because the economics, it's very difficult to start from scratch. It just isn't economic in basically the whole city to do that. So, you know, we appreciate the information you gave us today, and you know, we appreciate that you're going to solve the issue we have with that house on East Avenue, and thanks for your presentation today. Appreciate it.
And I appreciate you taking the time, and I will offer at any time if you want to have a cup of coffee to talk on how we can make our community better and solve some of the problems. I would look forward to that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizen comments?
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Tannenbaum. I'm the Executive Director of PACA, the Performing Arts Collective Alliance, at 150109 State Street. We've been there for 16 years. My board president just texted me to speak to you in that I am interested in the property directly adjacent. PACA is interested in the property directly adjacent to our property. We've invested more than $1 million into our building so far. Even though we are a 501c3 not-for-profit, we've always paid our land taxes 100%. We're not on a pilot program. We pay our taxes. They're about $9,000 a year, and we paid them for the last 15 years. We would continue, if we purchased more property on State Street, we would continue that tradition of maintaining tax base within our community. I have 48 tenants in my building right now, all commercial, no residential. These are artists, art studios. There are 4 different 501c3s in our building, including ourselves. We have storefront space, which are all rented. We've almost never been empty. We are 90% occupied at all times. I don't think we've ever been below that. I think we're like 96% right now. We are interested in that property. We think that we can renovate it. We think that we can get the funding to renovate it. We have resources available to us. We could write a check today.
Is that the Carpenter Electric property?
Yes. I don't know what the status is. If in fact it turns out that it's torn down, then we would be interested in the lot, but we think we can save it.
The property was blighted last Wednesday, so
okay.
it's in nobody's control other than the private property owner at this point.
And I understand that. I just wanted to be forthright, and my board president just texted me to speak regardless, just to let this body know that we are an interested party and that we are able to create a sustainable long-term solution, not only to that building, but the next building on the end of the block. And we would love to let us do what we do, which would be to preserve that, put commercial opportunities on the first floor, which allows people to pay taxes and to have businesses. We'll have arts and housing on the second floor, third floor on the other building in the back. There's parking lot that we desperately need for us to continue to grow. We understand we're putting a new elevator in. We put in wheelchair accessible bathrooms, and the list goes on. We know what we're doing. I think we can work with that. I don't think I have any other notes other than that. And I just would like to introduce myself to you guys so that you have a face to the name, and let you know that we think it's savable. We certainly are willing to bring in contractors and look at that and make sure that we can do it. Our building is on not only the National Historic Register, we're on the citywide Historic Register. Our opinion is that whole block can be on the National Historic Register. That block is the only block from 38th and State to the waterfront. There's only 2 blocks that have all of the original buildings. Our block is one of them. We would like to continue to see that and save every single one of those buildings and utilize them and make them sustainable and make them profitable so that everybody can make a living in our community, and that it's the gateway to the downtown. You know, we're south of the bridge, and we understand that we're on the wrong side of the tracks, but we're doing pretty well regardless, and we hope to continue to do good work in our community. So if you have any questions
I'm
for me.
just impressed that you've been able to have a viable operation renting to artists.
I know.
I have
It's a
tenants,
handful.
but artist tenants, I can't even imagine that one.
They're a lively bunch, that is for sure. But we put a brand new roof on our building. You know, I think we paid $235,000, I think, for our building. The roof cost more than that. And we put a brand new roof on it. We saved it. It's Mercury roofing. We used union labor. We used, Davis-Bacon. We're well aware of what we need to do, and we can accomplish this. So, Sumner, if anybody would want to ask me any questions, meet with me. I am available. I think you have my number. Aaron has my number. And let's talk.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for me?
Thank you for
Thanks
presenting
so
your
much for your
interest in
time.
that building.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Do we have any other citizens who would like to address the board here? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman, aye.
And do we have anybody that has any issues with the minutes from the last meeting on February 16th? If not, we need a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, before, I just have a question.
Sure.
And I know this is going to be discussed tomorrow in the Planning Commission meeting where these issues were brought up. But I think the folks here should understand there's several groups that are working in conjunction with each other within the city that are trying to make all of these things happen to better the housing situation, the blight, et cetera. And the land bank, of course, being one of them, blighted property, which met last week, being a different committee, the overarching group here, which is the Redevelopment Authority of the city, and then the Planning Commission. And so we at the Planning Commission actually gave approval to put together a list of 25 properties for the Redevelopment Authority to start looking into. They've obviously started doing that and honed in on them more specifically with the Blighted Property Review Committee, which I'm sure they will come back to us. But there is a process, and I think everybody should be aware to make sure that you're following along with each of these different entities that are following these properties, and that not necessarily today was a place that we're dealing with any of these specific properties or all of these specific properties, but that we may be in the future, and other groups are in real time. And so these things need to be followed along. I know we're going to be dealing with it in our minutes tomorrow about some of those things, and I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that are here today that there's other entities that are that are following these things and making decisions before they come to us, and then after they go past us. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's move on to the finance report.
Thank you. In your packet, first you have, excuse me, the profit and loss that was through February of this year. It is showing that we have a little over $7,000 in sales of properties, And then our grant reimbursement revenue was $78,000. So we have a total net income right now of $46,353.60. Right below the total income is showing the cost of goods sold. It's $2,000. So those were the 4 different properties sold, and they're each given a $500 placeholder value. So that is just removing that off of our books, and that's what a new category is for your profit and loss there. On the back is the balance sheet. So total bank accounts right now is showing $724,000, with $27,000 of that being held in escrow checking for developers that are still working on their projects. We do have the $300,000 in deferred grant revenue from the fair funds. And then the next sheet I have is the check detail list, which is pretty short for February, just a few checks written. And then the back of that, the budget versus actuals. So revenue is slightly behind our annual pricing, and that's largely dependent on the timing of the reimbursements so far. And then our spending is also significantly below what our annual projections were, and a large part of that is just program costs occur later on throughout the year, so spending will increase as projects move forward.
I see there's a developer fee revenue of $150. That's the standard charge, right?
So,
But we would have more than one development agreement in force right now, so we have
yeah, so that is
significant
just,
delinquency there, or what's going on?
yes. So that's just the portion that we're able to keep, and then I believe, 75% of it is refundable to the developer after they complete their development project, whatever was agreed to. So we only show the income as the portion that we're able to keep, and the rest is potentially refundable to them. And then, but yes, we are still waiting on a couple payments that usually run a little bit behind.
So we have about 4 that have paid,
Yes.
and we have how many more that have not, are delinquent on that right now?
We have 2 or 3 that we're waiting on for March payments.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the finance report, and now on to the report of the executive director.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I would make a motion to accept the finance report.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the report of the executive director.
All right, in your packet, you should have a executive director update for March of 26. I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to kind of hit on the high points, and if there's anything that the board after review has questions on, certainly let me know, after the meeting, and I can definitely provide a little bit more. Since the last meeting, I have met with Erie Waterworks, trying to get a better relationship and partnership with Erie Waterworks when it comes to property status, property information. A lot of times, we're looking for utility status, utility liens. A lot of times when Gene's trying to clear title, we're trying to go to closing, there's an old unpaid water bill lien on the property. So in trying to gain a little bit of cooperation there to help Gene and his team move some properties to sale a little bit faster. Continue to meet with representatives, state representatives and senator, to work through different things associated with the housing plan that the governor put out, and a lot of the things in there that come to how they want to fund and address land banks. But the one big thing that Gene and his team know a lot about is the inheritance tax issue and the issues and the costs that it incurs for us to get those properties cleared. And so trying to really put the bug in the ears of the legislators that is an important part that was identified in the Housing Action Plan when it comes to land banks, and something that we deal with and we see on all of our properties most of the time, which are of deceased owners who have died through some point of the chain of title, and causes us excessive legal fees, or not excessive, but extra legal fees that otherwise, if we could exonerate or be exempt from inheritance tax, we could save that money and move it for other purposes. So If any of you attended the March 4th, we hosted the Land Banking 20 Years of Crisis and Opportunity from Flint to Erie. It was well attended. I believe it was a great event. We showed the video from Flint, Michigan, and talked through a lot of the issues and problems that we have, you know, that kind of relate between us and Flint. And so we're not very different, other than the state of Michigan provides land banking a whole lot more money than the state of Pennsylvania does. So that's about our biggest difference. But compared to Flint, we're same size, same property loss, or same, you know, population loss, I should say. So, you know, a lot of similarities there. March 5th, I traveled to Pittsburgh with a group from Erie to meet with and tour Module, which is a modular housing facility in Pittsburgh. They're building modular housing. They've been in business about 5 years, and they're continuously growing. So we toured some of their models and things that they've done to just try to see what options are out there as far as infill development within Erie. On March 6th, and save a date of March 14th for a legislative breakfast amongst all of the housing practitioners in the city of Erie and Erie County. We're going to try to pull together a group of those individuals to meet with legislators, you know, in the morning of May 14th, just to share what's going on, what we're working on, so that we're all on the same page as far as our different initiatives. And another one that's still early on, but something that I think has the possibility of being at least a benefit for the community. I met with Susanna Faulkner from Erie Arts and Culture on May 6th, trying to work on a initiative to paint the plywood that we utilize for board and seals, so that as we board and seal a property and it has to sit while we wait for the term to pass when on judicial tax sales, or for title to get cleared, that there's some kind of brightness brought to the property through the installation of the plywood, rather than just raw plywood on the property. So working with her, she's talking to her board and a lot of her representatives. I'm talking to our board and seal contractor to kind of work out some logistics and possibilities there. So I'll have an update for the board once we flush that out. So another thing we received late last Friday, we submitted an application to the Center for Community Progress related to the Housing Choice Vouchers to Home Ownership Learning Cohort. Our application or letter of interest was accepted. So by this Friday, I have to provide the list of 5 individuals who will sit in on that cohort of 4 land banks from across the country, who will work with, I believe it's a land bank out of Boston, to work through how they used housing choice vouchers to drive home ownership options within their system. So I'll have more update on that. And I believe there was an email I sent to the board, so you should have the 5-page description from the Center for Community Progress as far as that goes. I think that's it.
Do we have any questions? I have a question. When you went to see the modular housing in Pittsburgh, I remember when we went to Detroit, they had some unusual properties. They had, you know, they were fixed and shipping containers, and they were the Quonset huts, and they, you know, weren't very attractive. What did you see in Pittsburgh? Did you see any potential in what they had down there?
Yeah, they're building nothing that's really outside the ordinary. They're certainly building some modern design, flat roof style, 3 stories, but they also have built some 2-story pitch design infill houses, which match the communities in which they were put in. So they're advancing and they're moving forward. Right now, they're working on a 9-unit apartment building as a modular unit. So it's going to have 9 housing modules and then 9 stairwell modules that will go together to complete one 9-unit building. It's about 65 foot wide, 43 feet deep, but they're going to be single bedroom units that they're doing for a company out, or an organization out of Virginia and an architect out of West Virginia to do. And it's a trial for them, and they're hoping to continue with that moving forward. So, but they're growing. Like I said, they're in their 3rd year of manufacturing, 5th year of operation. So they're continuously trying to grow how they work and evolve.
Do they have an estimate of what it's going to run per square foot?
So how he answered that was that the cost isn't necessarily cheaper. It runs about the same as on-site construction. He said the only difference is that while you're planning and doing all the other infrastructure work, the unit's being built, so your time on site is less, but the cost is comparable to on-site construction.
And has anything happened with the little houses that were up at 16th and Parade? Is there any, who actually owns those?
As far as I'm aware, those are owned by Erie County.
Okay.
The last conversation I had was that they are working through permitting. I know they've been having conversations with different organizations as far as potential use of those tiny homes. But there's still no update as far as what their end use is going to be.
Are they just being stored there, or is there intent to actually install them there?
They're just being stored on that lot.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's move to the solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, Board. It's nice to be here. In your packet, you will have the report for March 2026. We have a closing coming up on 427 Liberty Street. That just closed on Friday, so it was happy to get those done. You'll see the quiet title actions. Again, this is the process to make sure that the properties are free and clear so that they can then be taken care of, either sold or developed. So there are a number of those. You'll see that the quiet title actions are now being spread out amongst all the judges, and so that they know when I walk in that what we're trying to do here is, again, to clear those title so that they can be put back out in the market for city revenue. They understand the expedited process, and they're working with me to help me get those done. So when you go down the list, you'll see that I just filed a number of them, and those judges get assigned immediately, and then a date is set. Again, what's important is once the judge signs off, I still have a 30-day waiting period until I can enter that final judgment. So that's like one last bite at the apple. So it is a relatively quick turnaround time once we get the title search back, get it all filed and served. So again, it's the judges know what we're trying to accomplish here, and they're helping us expedite the process. So I feel good about it.
Do you have any questions for the solicitor? I just would like to know on that 427 Liberty, is that a rehab or is that a lot?
It's a lot. Yeah,
Okay, just a lot.
It's just a lot now.
It was sold to an adjoining property owner. It's going to be
Okay.
combined with the adjoining lot, or
Right.
rental property, investment property.
Aaron, what was that gentleman's name again? They're all running together because I did two with the
I can't
redevelopment and
recall.
one with the land. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
can't
been a while.
But yeah, that is an empty lot that's being integrated with the next door lot and being consolidated into one lot. So that's good for us, and it's really good for that property owner. Again, where he can use it for off-street parking, some green space. So it's a win for everybody. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is unfinished business and new business, and we have development proposal for 3702 Oakwood Street.
All right, so I pull up, let me share, I'll just show the board the property. Come on. Oh, it's up there. Hold on. Let's share screen. All right, so this is 3702 Oakwood. It's a property that the land bank took on donation from an elderly individual who no longer could care for the property. It sustained some major damage back in winter of '23 during that major snowfall that we had. So we acquired it. It was thought to be a demolition, but there was some interest around Christmas time. An individual reached out, toured it, wanted to put in a proposal. In accordance with our policies and procedures, the property, in order for the land bank to accept proposals, has to be open to the public for 30 days. So I listed it on the website and accepted proposals until March 6th. We have received to date 4 proposals, which are on the spreadsheet that was provided in your packet. Josh has gone through them. We reached out to the individuals that were missing information in an attempt to get some information. But out of the 4 proposals, I feel number 1 and number 4 are the only viable proposals, given that their estimated project cost to rehabilitate aligns with our estimated cost to rehabilitate. So the understanding that they are aware of the severe deterioration at this property is at least comfortable in that regard. Other than that, their proposals and knowledge, or at least knowledge to the Redevelopment Authority and Land Bank is similar. So I can't, so I'll leave it at that.
When you put this property up on the website, you just put it up to solicit offers, but didn't put a price on it?
No, we did not. Well, I put $1,500 because that's the minimum in our policies and procedures. But as in the past, and everyone who reached out, I told them our minimum is $1,500. However, they're welcome to offer whatever they feel the property is worth. So, and it's up to the board to deliberate and make the decision as far as the best interest of the property.
And of course,
On here where it says experienced local developer for 1 and 4, did we do any research on either one of these?
So number 1 has purchased, I believe, 2 properties from the land bank in the past and redeveloped them. They were under older developer agreements, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, but they are a known contractor in the area as well. Number 4 is also a known contractor in the area and has bought properties from the Redevelopment Authority in the past and redeveloped them. So that's...
So Aaron, have you received, I guess, all of the information from everyone? I noticed 1, 2, and 4 says initial submission not complete. Is everything completed now for all of these properties?
So you want to answer that, Josh? Just you press, make sure the light's on. There you go.
Yeah, actually, we did have to follow up with those 3. Both number 1 and number 4 responded promptly to that follow-up. Number 2 did give us a response, but not until 1 a.m. this morning, so we elected not to accept that.
and what were they lacking on their initial submissions? It looks like everybody had at least shown a proof of funds, which is of course important.
I think it was primarily the detail that they provided in terms of the scope of the project, whether or not they identified subcontractors, and at least in one case, they provide an estimated timeline of how long they expected the whole project to take.
Well, if we follow your recommendation, which is that you consider 1 and 4 to be viable, I see 1 starts at $1, goes to $6,316, and then 4 just has a fixed bid of $3,000. Do you go back to those 2, or do we just say 3,000, 1 takes it? I mean, what are our options at this point?
It is, so our policies and procedures when it comes to these situations is 100% at the will of the board. The board makes a decision, the board can offer it to whoever they feel is going to be the best steward of this property, whoever, based upon any criteria, if it's successful application on the first round, and so to Josh's point, number 2 followed up, but the email last week was get it to us by the close of business on Friday. Again, we have the information, but we didn't receive it till 1 a.m. this morning. Therefore, we just kind of try to hold to The requested timeline was by the end of the day on Friday. We didn't receive it, so we only put forth the ones who abided by the requirements set forth to them.
So I see here that developer number one offered $1, but is willing to go up to $63.16. On the developer proposal, there's a space where they say they would like to beat all other offers out by X amount of money. So on there, was there like a $500? Because if we're looking at offer number 2, that's $5,000. And if we choose developer number 1, we would have to escalate that offer, maybe $5,500, depending
Yeah.
what they put on the
So if you're referring to where it says increase their offer by blank for Omolchenko, so number 1, he was willing to increase his offer in $50 increments
Okay.
above the competing offers.
So the highest offer here is $5,000. If we choose him, he would get it for $5,050.
Yes.
But he missed your deadline, and when he did submit the information, have you looked at it? Did he come up with a project cost that was more realistic? I mean, his initial indication was he had $58,000 in cash available to work on this.
Oh, number 2?
Yes. Did he-
His estimate was, I would say, realistic. I mean,
Okay.
it was in the ballpark around 100,000.
But we haven't had experience with him before, like 1 in 4?
That's a tough question. With that specific contractor, no. However, there is a group of contractors and they share resources. And one of the owners is known to the Redevelopment Authority and Land Bank. In a good way.
So we could select one of these today or go back at them for a best offer?
Again, I leave that up to the board. I mean, I can say my recommendation would be is they submitted their offers as of March 6th. The escalation clause is in there. They're to set their escalation. They're to set their amount. They would go above that. I believe they've provided what they did. So at this point, the negotiation is what is in writing as of March 6th.
I personally feel the most realistic one would be number 1 at $5,050.
Yeah, I like that too, rather than throwing out 2, which would knock us down to $3,050. Let's try that.
And if they prove that they have over X amount of cash in hand with the bank, they provided documentation on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll agree with number 1 as well.
And I'm thinking on some of these properties, when we have them in a good location like this one, you know, when we put them up, we should say we're looking for the best offer in excess of X.
Yeah, so,
We're lucky here. I think these
Right.
offers are reasonable to get it up to 5, but, you know, when somebody starts at $1,
yeah, this was an organic process. I had reached out to our realtor and in an effort to, because when I initially put it out there was very slow response to it. The realtor looked at it and said it was not marketable in its current condition, so he did not want to list it. So we decided to just leave it up for the 30-day period and see what happened. And, you know, so fielded many phone calls, you know, toward the end of February, but, you know, certainly got 4 proposals. So I think we at least showed some interest. It's a stable neighborhood.
No, I
It's
think it worked well
unfortunate.
here. I'm just concerned when we put up some properties, we should probably put some floor price up.
And typically we do. When we list with the realtor, that was certainly the one
Yeah.
positive with the realtor was that they go in, they evaluate, and they set a listing price. So we certainly have seen success with that as compared to the past. So this is just if we can keep it from demolition, we keep it from demolition. If not, it ended up, you know, going to demolition.
And I think it's realistic that he put $1 on there, not knowing if there would be any other. He's going to rehab and sell, so obviously he would want to get it at the best possible purchase price.
And it's just nice that if we approve it today, I mean, he'll be able to start in the spring. We're showing activity in a good neighborhood of Erie. And I just think it builds morale in the city, just like what's happening in my neighborhood at 6th in Vermont, where that house is almost complete. I guess we should vote on that. The proposal is that we accept the bid of number one, Mr. Omochenko, at $5,050. And is there a motion to that effect? I guess we have had a motion from one member. Do we have a second to that?
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
Since this is not listed with the realtor, is he going to be held liable for the 10,000 escrow and the 150
Yes.
until it's finished?
Yep, that all still falls under the same developer agreement.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think that what was discussed was support for for that particular proposal. I don't know if it was actually put in a motion, so I think it should be re-motioned and seconded
Okay.
officially and then voted up, which I think will have the same outcome, but
Right.
I
yeah.
think officially.
Do we have somebody to move it?
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item is bylaw review.
All right, so.
Exciting area.
Yeah, I know, right? So this is just kind of, we had a brief discussion the end of last year with some proposed amendments to our bylaws. So I've put together our bylaws with the proposed revisions to that. I am not seeking action from the board today. I would like you to take some time, review it. We can walk through it today, answer any questions. We can modify it, at the will of the board. And then I would look for hopefully approval to amend the bylaws next month. So section 103 would be to add a clause: if a vacancy occurs and the appointing authority does not appoint a successor within 120 days, the Land Bank Board may appoint an interim appointee who will serve until a replacement is appointed. That's just kind of allows us, we're a 5-member board, reaching a quorum sometimes is hard, and if a sponsoring entity is, not appointing a replacement to a vacant seat, then we want to make sure we can continue our operations. So that would just, add that clause to there. Required attendance at a meeting, section 104, attendance via video conferencing or teleconference in compliance with the Sunshine Act shall count as presence for a quorum and voting purposes. Section 106, removal, just to add some language there as far as if a member of the board violates how they would be removed and what would constitute that. Section 202, chair, electronic signatures may be used for official documents in accordance with the Pennsylvania Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. Section 203, if both the chair and vice chair are absent, the board members present shall designate a presiding officer. Section 301, participation, meetings may be held in person or virtually or in a hybrid format, just so that we're in compliance with the Sunshine Act and clarify that language and remove any inconsistencies there. All the way back in section 311, records retained in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. Records may be obtained electronically provided they're available for public inspection. Section 401, State Ethics Act, board members shall complete an annual statement of financial interest, which I believe several board members still need to get to us by May 1st. And that's it. So just some clarifications and some realignment with some updates that have occurred since I believe the bylaws were last updated in 2018 when they were initially voted on and passed. So time changes, we should really revise them every 3 years, so it's just housekeeping, I believe, at this point.
I prepared a statement of financial interest, which I submitted to the school board, so they have,
Okay, if you could, did you use a paper copy?
yes,
All
I
right, so-
dropped it off with our board secretary.
We'll just reach out and request a copy from them for our records.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I just have a couple comments about the bylaws, and I know that we're reviewing them today and not taking a vote, but I certainly appreciate the work that's been done. I agree. The bylaws should continuously be kept up, so I applaud the administrative and the staff for doing that. I think too often bylaws are left stagnant and don't keep up with what's happening. But at the same time, I would just request that we make sure that we're communicating with the solicitors of the particular entities, in this case, probably the solicitor for the city of Erie, to make sure that we're not running afoul of any language in the third-class city code. And it's not that I disagree with these things, I just want to make sure we're not overstepping our bounds. For example, under the section 106 of removal, and I know we have certain criteria, but when we're appointed by other entities, do we have the authority to actually put in all of these other criteria for removal of their appointee? And the other one that I would question is for us to put in a successor, even though a temporary person, if the governmental entity hasn't acted and brought us somebody. I know that we want the governmental municipality to act and move on those things and not leave us in a position not to be able to conduct business, but is that actually in our authority to be able to even temporarily appoint somebody as board members when we're being appointed officially by a governmental entity above us? So I think just clarity on those things, I think would be important, just to make sure we're not running afoul, as I've already said.
So you'd
And
like
that's
us to
something
refer-
comes back to, to,
you would like us to refer this to the city solicitor?
yeah, I mean, I think our
Comments from
solicitor
him?
having a conversation or just, ensuring that they're in agreement, or, that they feel that what we're doing is appropriate under our bylaws. I would just ask your comment.
Board, I'd be happy to do that. I'll reach out to the solicitor, have them review this so that we can get a letter back confirming that they reviewed it. If they have any questions or problems, we can address them, and then receive acknowledgement and not kind of a stamp of approval to proceed forward. So I'll certainly have that for next month's meeting. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I just think it's important that we add this video conference appearance, because people often are going to be on vacation, and that way they can still participate. We've been doing that at the school board for a couple of years, and it's improved our attendance.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think all of the suggested amendments and revisions make sense. I just, again, for those couple of items, just want to make sure we're not running afoul. I think the other items is normal course of business in every public meeting that's being held today. So I think those updates certainly don't run afoul of anything. In fact, they bring us up to date with the normal course of business being transacted. So I think what's being put forward is appropriate and logical. Just want to ensure that that we're making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
I guess then we would need a motion on referring you think we need a motion to refer the bylaw revisions to the solicitor, and then we could put them on the agenda next month, or?
We probably could do that, and that probably would be good again to cross Ts and dot Is.
Yeah. So do we have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion. I don't think we need a motion. I think it should be a normal course of business that it's referred to them, but I'll make a motion if we want to make sure that we do that, to have that documented, to refer it to them.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next issue is policies and procedures discussion.
All right, so as we've talked, our policies and procedures, and as, you know, anyone, you know, those of you who have been on the board for a while, we continuously look at different things, and our policies and procedures as we move forward to make sure that we're doing what's best and what works for our land bank. So, number one was in our policies and procedures, it identifies a deed in escrow, a right of reverter, and an enforcement mortgage. And so we have three things that tie a developer to developing a property and allows us an enforcement measure to regain control of that property if they fail to move forward with that. But the question for Gene, or Attorney Sundberg, was to look at whether a right of reverter or enforcement mortgage is which option is best, because both of those would ultimately end up giving us the same outcome, but it's up to, you know, I certainly asked for Attorney Sundberg's recommendation as far as what his recommendation for the board would be.
Mr. Chairman, in that discussion that was had, and that I thought there was a general consensus that two of the three were the ones that we felt were appropriate, that the third one went beyond what we felt was necessary or worked
Right. So
best for us.
the conversation was that a enforcement mortgage was the best option and holding a deed in escrow. But as you can see from Attorney Sundberg's notes, he does agree with it. The mortgage is the cleanest option, but holding a deed is not recommended. It complicates matters. So that was kind of, we had chose the two, but, certainly the mortgage, in his opinion, is the cleanest option to protect the land bank's interest.
Okay, so I wasn't sure whether you were asking that as a question to him or...
Well, I was allowing him a chance to...
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought you were doing, but okay. Thanks.
So is this in fact changing? We're gonna change this maybe?
It's up to the board. If the board would wish to make a motion to make the revision, or we can make, however we want to approach this, or I can come back with a revised policy section for next month. It's really at the will of the board. And we can walk through all of this. We can take it one at a time, however you want to proceed. Just kind of my recommendations is how we, continuously revise how we operate. So.
And if I could, I agree with the board on the two of the three being the best. The mortgage is by far the best process, and that's what people are comfortable with and see on a regular basis. With regard to holding the deed, that can be done, but under the law, part of the transfer is the delivery of that deed. So they're in effect developing this property, but you're having them sign this deed and have me hold it in the file, that once they're completed with everything, it's no harm, no foul, I destroy it. I tear the deed up. But if it gets out to a third party or a third entity that there was a delivery of that deed from the developer back to the land bank, it might cause further problems. Is that actually ever probably really going to happen, where someone's going to know that at the closing they signed a deed just in case back to the land bank? No, probably not. because it's going to be limited who's going to have knowledge of that. But what I don't want to have happen is for something to happen down the road where we need to do a mortgage foreclosure action because the developer didn't do anything. But now we've got this deed that was delivered back. And do you need to report that as part of the mortgage foreclosure action? You might not. It's there as a safety net. Or do you even need to do the mortgage foreclosure action because you've got this deed that all of a sudden you're pulling out of your file and you're just recording? So that is a process where it kind of drives me crazy. You have a belt and suspenders. So that's how you're protecting yourself. So the cleanest and best way, just have a mortgage. You have that document, it's filed of record, you're holding the feet to the fire for the developer to do what needs to be done. And if it isn't, then you have the avenue within which to do it. Is it a shortcut if you have a deed that you're holding in the back of the file? Yeah, it is. The cleanest, the two of the three is by far the best. The cleanest, and that was my recommendation, the cleanest is to have that mortgage signed and of record.
I think last month you were indicating that on the deed that was being held in escrow, that it had to be recorded within 90 days or it would be void.
I'm trying to remember what, there was a time limitation on that in some capacity, within 90 days of a deemed default or something like that. And that's why it's just not as clean. It's just not as clean of a process. Is it an easy way to expedite things to get property back? Kind of like that was the idea behind the right of reverter, but that causes all types of problems with title companies, and people panic and want to see that reverter extinguished. So you're doing more work and more filings that I perceive as clouding the title, so that when title searchers and real estate lawyers down the road go, what was going on here? Am I 100% sure that this is clear and that title is good going forward? So that's why the right of reverter was kind of not the best. But two of the three, you're right, is the mortgage and then some deed with confirmation to the developer that it's either going to be destroyed or filed within a certain time if need be.
So, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm a little confused as to why it was all brought up to begin with then. I thought what we were attempting to do was to give the land bank more tools in the ammunition of your toolbox to be able to get things done. That there was 3 potential ways to do it. We have one by our policies, and we were giving you this other one, potentially the third one, as an option. That the second one that we're talking about, and I don't want to confuse it even more, but I thought it had to be filed within 30 days. But it was only to be in your toolbox under special circumstances when something came up, to allow you to have that flexibility if those circumstances permitted themselves, but that we would always default to the number one, the one that you support, and I think we all support to begin with, but that this was just giving you an extra tool in your toolbox.
And that's correct. And what I didn't mean to confuse things further. But basically saying, hey, look, the best way is the mortgage. Again, the deed held in escrow is another viable option. It's not always the cleanest and the easiest, but it is still a viable option. So utilizing 2 of the 3 is the best way to go.
You want to eliminate the right of reverter because these are suspect transactions to begin with, and then to have that in the deed, which is a very unusual thing, you're concerned that would complicate subsequent transfers. So we want to eliminate that but keep the mortgage and the deed in escrow.
Chairman, that's correct. And it has, we have had it in the language, and it has caused nothing but issues.
So if we say in the policy that we're going to continue as a normal course of business to do the one that you're doing with the mortgage, filing the mortgage, and that the other option is there under the special circumstances, does that still give you the tool and make it clear that we're prioritizing which direction we want things to be filed, and we want the way of it to be handled?
It does, and that would be sufficient, yes.
Would you mind, if we're going to vote on that, would you mind suggesting language for us specifically for that, to say the one is the normal course of business, the priority course of business, the second option is under circumstances of necessity, or however you feel is the best language for our policy?
I would be happy to put together that language. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can certainly draft, Gene and I, some language for the board to vote on and approve at the April meeting.
And what we'll do is, again, much like my memorandum, I'll try to get that to you in advance so that you're looking at it, so that in advance of it. So what I don't want you to have is you sit down here this time next month and see it for the first time. So I'll start putting that together and get that out to everybody so that you can take a look at it. And if you have questions or problems or concerns, or it's still confusing, which it might very well be, get back to me and say, hey, Gene, I need you to circle back on this. Let's take a look at this and see if we can integrate some more direct language. Happy to receive that.
All right. Moving on to number 2, the developer fee structure. So we collect $150 a month as part of the development fee on every developer proposal or developer agreement. In the policies and procedures, it outlines 75% of that is going to be refunded to the developer upon successful completion of the property. I am looking, and it's my suggestion to the board, to eliminate the 75% repayment. That development fee essentially is covering a small percentage of administrative costs associated with the management of a development agreement. So, on a recent development, I myself spent about 5 administrative hours working on gaining compliance with that project. So, that 150 doesn't even cover any of that, so there's just a lot of administrative costs that goes into getting these properties successfully rehabilitated, and taking some of that, certainly we give them back the $10,000 in escrow, but that $150 a month fee keeps us engaged with them, but also allows us to collect a little bit of our administrative costs that otherwise is covered out of the general fund.
And it puts pressure on them to complete the project, which has been the big problem, that some of these drag out.
Yes, that is correct.
And board, I would agree with that as well, knowing what Aaron's staff has to go throughout that process, and that is not an unreasonable monthly fee based upon the work that I do for lenders. That is a very reasonable fee, and should not be prohibitive to a developer throughout the building process. And Chairman, I agree. This is a good motivation for them. Hey, let's keep this going. We want to see this up and done and put out to the market.
Where did we come up with the $150 fee? Where did we come up with the number, like $150?
During the discussion we had, it was just kind of what would be something that would be tangible enough to hold the developer accountable, but not substantial enough to cause a burden from a developer, given that our developers range from, maybe their first time up to experienced high dollar developers. So we just kind of wanted to keep something that created a monthly interaction with the office so that there was that constant communication.
Okay.
And Aaron, you said on a recent one that you had 5 hours of work. What building rate do you use for the land bank?
What billing rate do I use?
Yes.
Whatever is in the fee matrix associated
Yeah, it
with
must
my
be
hourly rate and benefits.
Couple $100 an hour or?
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be significant. I think the point is, we're not making money on it, even with a $150 a month.
Yeah,
It's partially defraying the cost that the land bank's incurring.
yeah. And well, like I said, to answer Dana's question, it was because we had experienced development agreements that they disappeared. And we would reach out to them, but there was no tie to having them come back to the office. And so with that development fee, we can do two things. We can issue them in default, and then we can use that as a way to pull the property back because they failed to comply with that. But also in our agreement is if they do default and they fail to cure, we can retract and hold their escrow payment and deny repayment of their escrow because they have now defaulted, and allow us to use that for whatever fees associated with gaining control of that property again.
And you have had some failed development agreements, right?
Yes, we have had 2 failed development agreements, and we have had at least over 5 that have taken over 2 years to come to completion, which far exceeded what our thoughts and expectations of those would have been. And those were all prior to the escrow, and then all of those were prior to the escrow, and the development has only been in effect. The development fee has been in effect probably about 8 months now.
I personally feel like 150 is a little bit of an awkward number. If we went with like $100 and then that would be non-refundable. How do you guys feel about that?
I could see going, like with 100 a month for 6 months, and then it would go to 200 a month or 150 a month after 6 months. Again, we want these projects completed. The longer they go, the more time we have to put into them, and the more problematic, I would assume, is what has been the experience.
But giving the 75% upon completion is giving them more of an incentive to get this done quicker because they know they have money coming back at the end.
Well, I thought we were going to take that clause out.
The thought is
Right.
take out the 75%,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And I love the chairman's enthusiasm, but I caution staggering is an administrative burden on the staff that has to manage and monitor that on a monthly basis. So just trying to keep tabs on that. It's better if we just have a set fee, and then we know
Right.
until completion that is the fee that is charged monthly.
Well, between what one was suggesting for 6 months and what you were suggesting for the other 6 months comes back to 150. So what would be the need to then even make a change at this point? If I guess all we're doing is eliminating the 75%. Is that what you're suggesting that we
Yes.
do?
Yep.
And, I mean, if we want them to get completed, I mean, is that is $600 more a year, that much significance to us? Or going to 1,200, to an even 100 and being at 1,200, is that reasonable? Or being at 150 was actually working? Just,
I think the fee is working. The monetary value of the fee, I don't think is relevant to the outcome that we have achieved with the fee. So I think the communication and engagement with the developers has been the success out of this. And I think it's the capturing 100% of that upon completion is just to help us offset that monthly engagement with them.
so if you were returning 75% of $1,800.
$1,350.
I'm sorry, $1,350. Then if it's $100 a month at 100%, you're still going to be better off, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So we'd be better off with a flat rate of, at 100 with, and eliminate returning anything at the end, as was suggested.
Yes. So is there a consensus for $100 and eliminate the 75%?
You want to remake the motion?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
So I would like to make a motion to change the fee to $100 and eliminate the 75% upon completion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, number 3 was just a qualifying question. You know, the question was, if we do quiet title action, does that eliminate the need for title insurance? And Attorney Sundberg's response is no, it's just quiet title action allows for a warranty deed to be issued on the property so that they can get title insurance. And then the number 4, the $750 transaction fee, that is, I'm going to have to, I know it's on the email, so I want to address it, but I'm going to ask the board to give me some more time to look into that. That's always been, I know since I took over as executive director, kind of a weird, it's mentioned in the policies and procedures a couple times. It kind of is very contradictory to itself a couple times. So I want some time. I'm going to review that and see, and try to figure out what the initial thought process behind that fee was when the board originally adopted it. So it's something that doesn't seem very, I guess, tangible or realistic at this point. So let me do some more research on that, and I'll report back over the next month, and we'll talk more about it in April.
That fee is in addition to legal fees for producing a deed at the closing?
Yes,
Okay.
it was just like, it's a $750 fee, not charged to side lot owners, but essentially only charged to developers.
But a lot of the developers weren't getting charged this
Yeah,
fee.
and so it's just, we go through, Attorney Sundberg handles all the closings now, and everything is charged and and made, documented on the HUD-1. So yeah, let me do a little bit more research, and I'll get a memo back to the board on that.
Okay, the next item is the property tax and nuisance liens.
So we have our abatement of taxes for a decent list of properties as pursuant to the Erie Land Bank Section 959.17, City Ordinance 29216. The Land Bank has the ability by resolution to exonerate and abate city and county taxes as identified on the resolution set forth in front of you today. And then upon successful passing, it would be forwarded onto the school district for their review and potential approval. So this is all done in an effort so that when we convey properties, we can get them back on the tax rolls as quickly as possible, because any waiting on paying or clearing taxes later on holds up a property from sale.
Is this the inventory of all of our properties, or just the ones ready to move forward?
This is our inventory of properties who currently have taxes on them. So they're all tax exempt. This is just a housekeeping measure to exonerate taxes on properties acquired at the 2024 judicial tax sale, in which we are assessed taxes up until a certain date. So, and our exemption doesn't come active. So we are responsible for taxes. So we clear them from title or from record.
So
I'm sorry.
these are primarily the most recent
Yes.
ones that you've acquired.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we accept the list for the exoneration of the taxes that's been presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. We move on to other business. Do we have other business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I didn't feel that it was appropriate to make comments when the citizens to be heard were making their comments. And there really isn't another place I felt in the agenda to jump in. But this is the place that I thought best fits doing so. So I would appreciate having an opportunity to make a few comments.
Sure.
And I know some of the citizens that spoke are no longer here, which I guess that's the risk of not speaking up earlier about it. But I think it's important, well, first of all, Horace Greeley, you know, when he came to Erie in 1842, recognized that there's something very unusual about the politics of this community, and it still exists today. We have a habit of eating our own, and at times working against our own self-interest. We just always seem to kind of find ourselves in that place. But at the same time, there's many great things that are moving forward in this community that are trying to overcome those stigmas of the past. One of them, I believe very strongly, is this land bank group that we have and the work that's being done here. With that said, you know, government is made to purposely move slowly so that mistakes are not made and that every opportunity to make corrections and work towards the best outcome of the entire community presents itself. And I just want to make sure that we, as an organization, continue to think that way and give every opportunity to people that are doing good work in our community to be able to continue to do that good work and have the opportunity to be supported by us. I continue to be surprised and dismayed that racism still exists at the level that it does in our community, even to the point where some groups won't sell property to other groups because of their racial makeup or their ethnic background. And those are unfortunate situations that still occur in our community. But we're not here to take properties out of the option of people having the opportunity to get them. In fact, we're here to kind of be a conduit to ensure that we can affect those things in a positive way. We can make sure that there is no blight or there's no back taxes, water liens, etc. And so I think people need to understand that we're here to create a process that works for the community, but we also need, I think, to make sure that we keep an open line of communications with people in the community to ensure that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, and that people who are doing good work in this community have an opportunity to continue to do work, and we sit down and have a two-way street of working together. I'm encouraged that PACA has stepped forward and made it known that they're interested in the property there. I would encourage the administration to continue to try and work with them and reach out to them. That could be a strong partnership in what's happening in that corridor in the city. I can also encourage working with the developers we have in this community, such as Don Crenshaw, who is the largest minority contractor in this community. He's from here. He knows what this community is about. He knows what it takes to persevere. It pains me to hear the stories that he's mentioned, that it's taken so long for some groups to get funding, but I'm encouraged at the persistence that's shown in getting that funding. And I would just encourage us to see those things as positive signs of commitment to our community and continue to work with them. And we may find that some of the differences that we have are actually strengths that can bring us together and work together to create the same types of outcomes that, as was mentioned by Mr. Crenshaw, seem to be at the top of the list of elected officials today to talk about housing and to stop homelessness. That's what I think we've been created for. I think that's the work that the administration has been doing here and continues to do. And I would just continue to hope for and suggest that we have an open line of communication with these different groups and create these partnerships to make it work for the best of our community. And I am certainly available at any time to meet with groups and talk to them about projects that may be moving forward and to help be a conduit of open communication to ensure that what we accomplish is the best for our entire community. So I thank everybody for their indulgence in that, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I have one thing to add. I went to the housing meeting that was held at Gary Horton's operation on Saturday, and Gary asked me about whether or not we had any lots up in that area, which is way out there on Buffalo Road. Do we have any out there? He wanted to, he wants to use some of these lots as community gardens, which I know has been an issue for us. And in fact, as I left, I went by Burton School, which his operation now owns, and they have the corn stalks are still up on the lot next to it that they haven't cleared off. But I do know that a fair number of the new Americans are using community gardens, and I just wondered if we did have lots up in that general area that we might put together some kind of an agreement with Gary where they would maintain it properly and then could use the property. I haven't had a chance to look, but I would assume we have some lots in that area.
So, yes, I'll reach out to Gary and go through our inventory of what might potentially work with him, but we do have an agreement between his organization and the land bank to utilize a large parcel of land over in his community for a community garden. It was one that we entered into an agreement at the time when community gardens were failing in our communities and stewardship of those was not successful, and so that was the purpose of entering into an agreement with him, which has been a tremendous asset to that community. We've heard that from the residents who utilize it, so it's been good. His stewardship of the garden is phenomenal, and the asset it provides to the individuals in that area is tremendous. So I'll reach out to him and coordinate to go over our property list.
And he also told me something which I didn't have a chance to follow up on because I had to get somewhere else. But he said that there were several lots in that area that had been purchased by individuals where they use them to store vehicles, etc., outside. And it gets back to that idea I had a few months ago in some of these areas of perhaps constructing some garages. If they're having vehicles stored outside, it doesn't seem to me like that's a very attractive environment.
That area is highly distressed. There is a substantial amount of repository lots in that area. That is something that certainly we've continued to be brought to the top of the list and a stewardship of those to try to prevent out-of-town property owners. But if individuals buy parcels off the repository lots to the side lot, that falls under zoning and is certainly outside the control of any entity approving the purchase or sale of those lots post-transfer. So, yeah, I'll mention that to Gary when I meet, that certainly put that to zoning and have them reach out.
But I would, it's an area that where we would like to have a presence, and because of the depressed values there, it's unfortunately probably the area where we're most likely to do something, unlike Oakwood or Six in Vermont. But, even constructing a new garage there, I think would be a plus. And I think we could get zoning waiver for that. In other words, put it at the back of the property so you could still build a house on it. And by having a much more modest investment, it might be within our means.
Mr. Chairman, before we close, I'd like to make a comment. As I've been involved as the solicitor for the Erie Land Bank for the past number of years, I want to commend Aaron and his staff. They are an open book. There are no secrets. There is no hidden agenda. Everything that is done through Aaron and his staff and through me as the solicitor for the Erie Land Bank is done in accordance with the law and the mandates. There is no secret agenda. The lines of communications are always open. As I work as the solicitor for the Erie Land Bank, I'm proud to say that the work that this board does and that this entity does gives back to our city. It's making sure that the properties within the city of Erie are owned and managed and controlled by people of the city of Erie for the city of Erie. That has been time-tested and approved, that the work that Aaron does and his staff and this board does is beyond board and beyond reproach. I stand proud every day for the work that we do and how we're going about our business as the Erie Land Bank for the city of Erie. And with that, I thank you for the opportunity to be the solicitor.
Thank you. Any other business, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.